It's time. She's spilling the tea.
This is the Rumor Report with Angela Yee on The Breakfast Club.
So Lauren London was on a Red Table Talk, and just as a disclaimer, they did record this prior to social distancing requirements. And so at the beginning, Jada had to give an updated introduction, talking about George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. And then she sat down with Lauren London, and they talked about the trauma of gun violence and how it affects women. Now, here is what Lauren London had to say about meeting people who Nipsey Hussle changed their life.
I love to meet people that Nip has like really inspired, because it feels like he's still here, even though he is in a way. But it's like his purpose that was completely outside of any of us. His purpose is he's touching people still, and I find that when I run into people that tell me how he's changed their life.
Now, she also talked about raising Black boys and having to prepare them to interact with police officers.
What I instill in them is more about the police. How to handle yourself when you get pulled over.
Right.
That's more of my
education.
Yes, protecting them, being Black men in America.
I wonder how soon is too soon to have that conversation with your young black boys. Like, when do your young Black boys go from being cute to being scary to white America, to police?
You know what's funny?
officers?
A friend of mine called me yesterday and had that same conversation. It was like, well, when have you told your kids? And I've said, I think Logan was around 13 when we had that first conversation, and I think it was around the same time one of his white friends called him. But my 6-year-old, I think he's still a little innocent. He doesn't have to necessarily. I don't want to put that stress on him right now. When he gets a little old, I think maybe 10, 11. But I don't hide it from them. I don't hide the news from them. They watch the news. They know about coronavirus. They know about COVID-19. They know about George Floyd. So they do know what's going on. But I haven't had that necessary conversation yet.
It's just a rough conversation to have with kids, to tell your kids that you will probably be treated differently because of the color of your skin. Like, you don't know when to plant that seed. You know, tough conversation.
All right. Lauren London also talked on Red Table Talk about advice that she can give to other people who are coping with the loss of a loved one. Here's what she said.
For me, what's really been important is like connecting with God. And that's been a struggle because something horrible happens in your eyes and you're like, how, God? And knowing that there is life after this life. It's not easy. I don't always wake up on the enlightened side of the bed,
Right.
And the days that I don't, I let myself, because I'm human. And I find things that matter. And so I try to live with a purpose.
Lord have mercy, man. Prayers up for Lauren London always. Always sending Lauren London positive energy, love, and light, man. R.I.P. Nipsey Hussle.
Absolutely.
Yes, a lot of people are like, man, we would love to hear Nipsey's voice right now in particular.
Right now. Absolutely, 100%.
All right. So Khalees has went on her Instagram page, and she also feels like the music industry, instead of just doing a Blackout Tuesday, should also help out Black musicians. She said if the music industry wants to support Black lives, labels and platforms can start with amending contracts, distributing royalties, diversifying boardrooms, and retroactively paying back all of the Black artists and their families they have built their empires on. Erykah Badu and Azealia Banks also shared that message as well. Not a bad message.
She's right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
She's right. It's not that it's that the record label contracts have never been fair to any artist.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Period. But it's Black artists have made these labels so much money, so it's just like it's bad business, right?
They only get a percentage of the record sold, like a small percent, maybe a couple of pennies for what they sell, which is ridiculous. Like, artists have to live on the road. That's why right now a lot of artists are effed up. Don't get it twisted. Don't get the showing cash and money and all that on Instagram. Artists make their money, majority of them, by doing shows and being on the road. The fact that they can't be on the road and all the streams that they're seeing, they're not getting a majority of that money at all, and it's not right.
Yeah, I always wanted to do record labels owe artists.
I had a conversation with an executive, and what he was telling me was that a lot of times when they do sign an artist, and it's a risk because most of the artists, it's a very small percentage of artists that actually become stars. But when that does happen, they do go back and renegotiate a contract because they do want it to be more fair to the artist, so that the original contract that they signed, they want to make sure that they do more for them. And this executive also told me that when they do a 360 deals, a lot of times they don't really cash in on like the merchandising, the touring, and all of that.
That's why I say I wonder.
I'm not saying it's completely fair, but I'm saying that's,
That's why I said I don't know if record labels owe artists. Do they owe artists? Owe is a strong word because you signed the contract. It is a business at the end of the day. It's just bad business. Is it bad business or is it just a record business? I don't know.
Both. I mean, I think it is bad business, but I do think it's the record business. But I think it needs to change, and I'm hoping when we have people in power like your Jay-Z's that own Rock Nation that signs all these artists, that's helping these artists out or helping them to sign better deals, which they are, and that's what you need.
Right,
you need
but labels
that
are going to do things to protect themselves too. Let's be clear. They
you need an artist that got to change the situation.
Because there are some artists who get a big chunk of money and then they don't produce, and then the label has to eat that also.
All right, but
so it always will be a few artists that'll keep a label afloat, and then hundreds more that end up being write-off, I guess. All right, well, I'm Angela Yee, and that is your Rumor Report.